Lunch Money Lambert, Jeff Malott. Welcome to the KBN Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the KBN Nation. KBN Nation. Hey. Welcome to the KBN Nation. Welcome to the KBN Nation. Welcome to the KBN Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the KBN Nation. KBN Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the KBN Nation. KBN Nation. Hey. Welcome to the KBN Nation. Welcome to the KBN Nation. Welcome to the KBN Nation.
What is happening, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. Back at you on a Monday, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. We appreciate you. So welcome.
Yes,
Ryan, what's happening, man? What's happening, brother?
Living the dream, buddy. Living the dream. On the
Same
road.
old?
Yep, as always.
I got you. Well, it was a wild weekend to watch big tournament fishing. I wasn't at Fork, neither were you, but it was a crazy scene to watch down there, wasn't it?
It was, man. Ford, you never know what to expect. Like we saw, they really put on a show down there at Seminole and just put up huge bags. That's kind of what you expect out of Fork. I know last year was a slugfest down there. So you never know like when those big ones are going to come in. So watching it all day, you're kind of expecting somebody to hang up a huge limit late in the day. So I'm sure that was nervous for our guest tonight, because he put up his limit was pretty early. So, just waiting to see you sandbagging or who may have 102 inches, sitting in the back of the truck.
I took a peek at the leaderboard. This reminded me a lot of there wasn't quite as many people, but I mean, there were nearly 200 people in this thing. But remember the Natty on Caddo a few years ago, where like the top 150 had 20 inches in their bag. I mean, it was insane. I got to looking at this one, and to get 54th place, you had to break 80 inches.
Wow.
I mean, that's solid.
That's rough.
I mean, and even below that, you had guys and girls with 19s and 18s all down their limit, all the way down to, 75th had 70 inches. It's crazy. So they were catching them for sure.
I'm sorry. David Cruz, can you hear me better now, sir? By chance. Can you hear me okay, Jeff?
Can't hear Ryan. I hear you pretty good, man.
Okay. All right. Maybe Cruz got me turned down on his end.
He got them Amazon earbuds. You need to get some real AirPods.
He probably does.
Yeah. So Patrick Malone, the TD's watching. He got in the comments and said there were 50 20-inch bass caught.
That's a lot. That is like Caddo. I mean, Caddo put up, just, 70 or 80, like 21-inch plus bass in that tournament down there. There's some monsters.
Yeah. And one of the most shocking things was Russ didn't win, or was he in the top three? But I mean, he still had a solid day. I mean, he had 82 inches, but that puts you in 40th or 43rd place.
You can't win them all, man. I mean, there's been a lot of guys that have had some major success on Fork. Cody Milton, Nate, obviously, who won the old school TOC before it became the Hobie Tournament of Champions down there. So I mean, Matt Scotch, Guillermo, you got a lot of guys that have really, showed out on Fork. So it's kind of a toss up. I don't feel like it's necessarily that home field advantage type lake. Like you can stumble on a big bag about anywhere on the lake, it seems.
Yeah, and it was kind of a stacked board. I mean, you go from Scotch down in 33rd place with 85 inches. That's only 13 inches from first to 35th is not that much.
No.
Yeah, so there were
a couple big bites. Big bites, and you're right back in it.
Yeah, that's a lot of people in there. So props to Nate for holding them off. We're going to get him on here in a minute. But yeah, fun to watch. I wish I was there. I love Lake Fork. I mean, it hates me and loves me back at the same time every other year. But I love going down there. So hopefully next year the scheduling's a little better and you can pull that one off. I know you haven't been over there for.
Yeah, I've never seen the place, buddy. Never seen the place. Yeah. One day.
Arkansas is on your list this year, and then next year it'll be.
I like Texas. I like the Texas folks. We tend to have a good time when I'm around. So I'm not opposed to going at all. But like you said, scheduling wise, I'm gonna have to squeeze it in a little bit.
Yeah. So before we get Nate on, there's a couple things I think we need to touch on. One more thing from the tournament that I saw mentioned. Duke shared it on our group page today. How about the guy that came in second? I believe he came in second, had the leaky kayak and had to go get a new one and ended up coming in second. I mean, that's insane.
That's wild, man. I couldn't imagine like the last day of pre-fishing, like, man, I'm tired of this freaking Tupperware leaking on me. I'm about to go pick up a new ride before tomorrow.
Yeah. Just talk about mental strength, I guess you'd say. You know what I mean? Easy to get shook for much less than having.
It worked out for him pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. Then there's one more thing we got to talk about, and I mean, I don't know if we could not talk about this. So let me pull it up for you.
Oh God.
What about this thread that went on?
I knew this was going to be it. I knew it, man.
I mean, what about that thread with Clint, with the spot on accuracy? And then I'm not even going to show Conrad's picture, but beyond that, the actual photo.
So that was kind of the beautiful irony in it is he throws this out as kind of, a joke. And then Conrad, of course, being the man that he is, just so happens to post a picture of him.
There he is,
holding a fish in the exact same outfit as the little Barbie doll, which I'm not shocked by that really at all. I am surprised that he posted it.
Yeah, I'm not really shocked that I'm more surprised that he posted it or that he had it. I don't know which one's more shocking.
I completely expect him to have it. I feel like Conrad has a large selection of Speedos, in the old gun cabinet there.
Yeah. He even had the ladies clamoring for a cornbread calendar. So good for you, Conrad, doing your thing out there, buddy.
Keep on doing it, son.
Keep on doing your thing. Adding the spice to the page. Crazy. Anything else happen we need to talk about? I just think we couldn't go without talking about that.
I don't think so. Everything else has been pretty smooth, hasn't it?
Yeah, pretty
ho-hum. I don't have anything jumping out in my head. What's the next big one we got coming up?
I think it's kind of a down week, and then there's a KBF Pickwick.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I saw somebody posting about KBF Pickwick. That was it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get Nate on here. We'll take a little break and we'll bring Nate in and break down how he is now basically the king of Lake Fork. So, yeah. Hang on just a minute. We'll be right back, y'all. KBN Live is brought to you by Western Sun Vodka. Western Sun Vodka is a 10 times distilled, award-winning, gluten-free vodka. They are independently owned and crafted in Pilot Point, Texas. All right, we're back. Nate, what is up, my man?
How you doing, guys? Tonight. Thanks.
Ryan, I told Nate before we came on live that this was not meant as shade, but I hadn't seen Nate at any of the national events for a while. So when I saw that leaderboard, I thought that was like a throwback to the TOC a couple years ago. I was like, what? Nate Gloria, wait a minute. So congrats, man.
Thanks, man. Very unexpected. You see everybody down at Fork pre-fishing all week, and there were some folks that were really on them early in the week. So, just really grateful for this one. This one, it worked out.
So you haven't retired from fishing though, like Jeff mentioned not seeing your name on the national stuff. I mean, you're still fishing like a lot of the local stuff and Midwest tournaments and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. Like Joshua Booth with the All American Series, I'm going to try to hit every one of those events. Traveling great distances that's strenuous work on folks, and so hats off to the guys that can get that done. I got a family and work and everything, and so. I gotta do what I can to stay home. But my buddy had said, he goes, "Hey, I'm going to Lake Fork if you want to go." And I was like, I might be able to swing that one. And I'm sure glad that I did.
Yeah, that was worth it.
Yeah.
You going to hit that first All-American Series event?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ryan, Washita, first event.
Clean miss on that one. You can have Wachita, man.
I got you, man. So, Nate, tell us about, did you get to practice? Tell us about the stuff leading up to the event. You said you saw other people smashing them.
Yeah. I had to wrap up some things with work, make sure, we had a 2-week cold snap for us that really stopped everything pretty much. And about 2 weeks out, that weather switched on us and everybody in the construction industry was just moving. And so I was, super busy with work, so I didn't get a chance to go down real early. Left Omaha, Nebraska on Wednesday at about 1:00. Pulled into Lake Fork at midnight that night, early Thursday morning. We slept for just a few hours. Woke up at I think it was like 5 a.m. on Thursday, and then fished all day until about 6-7 o'clock is when we finally got off the water. And then we were able to pre-fish on Friday up until the 2 o'clock cutoff for the rules there. So about a day and a half of pre-fishing.
So how far into that pre-fishing time period did you find the spot that ended up cashing the check for you?
That would have been day 2. I had caught a 21 incher in one of the cuts back there. Looked at my buddy and I was like, dude, we got to go. I was like, they might be in here. I had seen a few other fish just kind of moving around, chasing some bait fish back there out of their areas. So we turned around and I didn't by any means think that there was enough in there to get the job done like that. I was, the whole time, I wasn't expecting to come away with a win. I mean, you look at, going up against 195 anglers. I mean, you got to have some real confidence to say that you can go out there and expect a win like that, So, and I wasn't on the kind of fish to make that happen.
Worked out.
It's a familiar story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds just like the TOC. I guess, was that the last TOC that Cody had before it became the Hobie TOC?
Yeah.
Okay. That's right. Hey, we got some YouTubers in there. I forget Jim's in Facebook jail, so he's in the YouTube comments.
He is in Facebook jail again. I posted
now.
something. I was commenting on like Shane's status, like giving him shit for something, and then I look at my phone and Jim texted me the picture that I needed to reply. And I was like, why would he text that to me and not just post it? And I was like, oh, he's in Facebook jail again.
Yeah, we miss it. We miss him. By God, we miss him. But I'm glad to see him over there on the YouTube. So appreciate you over there, buddy.
So how did this tournament? How did it differ from your TOC win down there?
They were about halfway back to that bridge back there.
Really? So you were in the same area?
Yeah, I was still on Little Caney. My thought process into it, honestly, was, Lake Fork historically, there's been tournaments won in Little Caney. So I thought to myself, there's no doubt that there's going to be some big fish that are pushing back here. It's just about intercepting them at that location of either where they're going to pull in to either take a break and rest, or they're going to pull into a spot and say, hey, I don't have any more time left in me. I got to drop my eggs. And so that's kind of what I looked for. I started right across the boat ramp pre-fishing. I just got the Garmin Live Scope. Haven't caught a fish on it since I had installed it. So I went out to the point right there across from the boat ramp, and I was marking a bunch of fish out there. And I was actually catching some on a jerkbait on Friday morning pre-fishing. So that's actually where I started the tournament. I thought that I could just go over there. They would just, be pushing some shad up on that point. And, I'd pick up maybe 3 or 4, maybe 15, 16 inchers, and just kind of start my limit, and go upgrading from there. But tournament day, that being where I started off, there was not a fish that wanted to bite out there. And I think that had a lot to do with, the wind had been blowing on that point for 3 days straight. And then tournament morning, it was dead slick calm out there. So the bass just weren't pushing the shad up against that point anymore.
So we got a question from the
Go
crowd.
ahead.
Oh, sorry, Ryan. Somebody
Yeah,
asked if was he fishing from a crowd? Were you fishing from a crowd? I would almost answer that for you if you were in Little Caney. It's always crowded, isn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely crowded. In the two cuts that I was catching fish, there was maybe two other kayak guys that were dedicated to that area. So, to be honest with you, I think a lot of people went real far north in Little Caney, and were looking for the fish to, be pushed way back up in there. The water temps were warmer back up there, and that attracted a lot of the anglers. So, kind of reduced a little bit of pressure off of, the area a little bit closer, that I was fishing at. So
with you rolling up on that point and not getting bit, how did you adjust? And also, how did the live scope factor into the adjustments that you made?
yeah, I had to ditch live scope. That thing wasn't going to help me out. That thing was not going to help me out. But I spent about 30 minutes on that point there, and my buddy and I, we had both agreed to share that spot, thinking we could, there'd be enough fish there, we could just both cast in there with the jerk bait and get a few fish on the board. And I looked at him, I said, "This isn't it, man. This isn't gonna cut it for us." And so I took off toward the cut where I had caught that 21 incher the day before, pre-fishing, and I get to that cut, make my first cast in there. I tie on just a Texas rigged weightless, kind of like a Zoom speed craw. To be honest with you, I don't know exactly what bait it is. I got it in a $1.99 Shields bin. I'm a pretty cheap guy, so I picked that up and threw that. And pre-fishing, I tried throwing a frog, and I got a few hits on it, but they weren't committing to it. So anyway, toss that in there, and I'm running it across the top of the water, and I kill it. 12-incher hits, and I get it on the board, take a photo of it, let the fish go to look at my photo, and I realize I forgot my identifier. So I'm already, I'm like, well, I was upset in the moment, but looking back, I knew that wasn't going to cut it for this event. So where I caught that 21 incher the day before, I knew exactly where I had hooked her at. So I casted right into her, where she had been the day before, reeled it across the top of the water, and I see a big old weight coming behind the bait. I killed it mostly out of startlement, to be honest with you. Like, I was like, holy cow, is she still there? Let it sink. She hits. I set the hook, and she breaks off. And so back to back fish like that, it made it a mental game for me for a little while there. I was like, okay, I've got to figure something out. And I looked at my line, and it wasn't a clean break. It looks like it was a knot that failed of mine. So us as anglers, when you see guys out there late at night checking every reel, their line, all that kind of stuff, they're probably doing that for that exact reason right there. And it punished me for not doing that. So I pull out of that cove, and I go down to the next cut. And I had seen a bass boat casting in at the same spot over and over and over again the day before pre-fishing. So what does that tell you? There's probably a fish that's bedded there. So I went over there, casted right where I thought that guy had maybe been casting the day before, buzzed it across the top of the water, and I see a huge weight behind the bait. Kill it again. That one was a 19 and a half. I'm putting that fish on the board, measuring it. I let it go. A couple minutes goes by. I look over to the left of where I'd caught that fish, and there's another bass just chasing bait. I mean, he was mad. So I was like, if I throw my bait in there right now as he's chasing something else around, there's a good chance he's going to bite it. Cast in there, run it across the top, and I kill it, and it's a 21 and a quarter. So that was a great relief right there. I've got two pretty good fish, and take a photo of that fish, let it go. A couple minutes goes by, I look over about 10 more feet to the left, and there's another bass doing the same thing. And so I pitch in there and run it across the top, kill it, and it's a 16.75. So at that moment, then I actually decided to pull out of that cut, and I'm thinking I'm going to go back up to that cut where I just lost that, broke off that fish. And since I had looked at my line and it didn't look like it was a clean cut, I was like, well, maybe I didn't get a hook in her and she'll eat again. So I went up there, or came to the mouth of this cut, and I'm like, Nate, a couple of years ago you left your spot. Why are you leaving fish to go find fish right now? And so I turn around and I come back, and I had thought I had seen a bass moving in the weed line on the other side of this cut so I'd caught 3 on one side of the cut, and on the other side I thought I had seen a bass moving. So I tie on a Mr. B lure, bladed jig. Got a Halloween. It's actually a walleye assassin swim bait. It's Shields was all out of the white one, so it was all I could find as a swim bait. So threw that up there, and I take a couple of reels on the bladed jig there, and my bait just stops, and I kind of just, like when you snag up on a log, you kind of go like this to break it free. Well, my line just shot to the side, and I set the hook, and I knew it was the biggest bass that I've ever caught in my life. And I kept telling myself, over and over out loud, I can remember saying, if I land this bass, this could win me the tournament. I didn't know. I thought it was a 10-pounder, but that's how every like fork bass fights. So it could be 16 and it fights like that. And so it comes up next to the kayak, and I had not seen it yet, and I just see the big old mouth, and I get it in the net, and I kind of lost it then. I was hollering, and at that point then I've got 4 fish, so I pull out of the cove and go back up to the next cut where I'd lost that fish. And there's another guy in the far back of the cut where that 21 was sitting. And so I'm like, well, shoot, I can't cast in there now. He's up there. So I take one cast into an open pocket and run it across the top, just let it drop without seeing anything trailing behind it. And it's sitting there for just a couple seconds, and I feel a tick in the line, and I set the hook, and that's an 18. And that was my 5 fish card, and that came early.
Ryan mentioned that earlier. You were in early, and he was wondering if folks were going to run you down or not.
Sure. I was after that, I picked apart those areas, those 2 cuts as much as I could, and I couldn't get another bite. And yeah, with about an hour and 15 to go left in the tournament, I thought to myself, well, you need another one. 98 inches on a lake that is being this good to me right now after not doing very good. Somebody else has got more than I do. So I went back up toward the boat ramp at about 10 a.m. Because I wanted to submit my fish with that 22 and a quarter or 22 and a half. It was 22 and a half. Just because I thought it might be big bass. You never know. And so that was the only area that I could get service at, was up toward the boat ramp. And so when I was up there earlier that morning, then at like 10 o'clock when I uploaded my fish, I thought to myself at that moment, I was like, well, maybe if I don't get any other bites throughout the day, maybe I'll come back up here and see if I can't pick one off of this point here. And so with about an hour and 15 left to go in the tournament, I went up there and was casting a chatterbait or the bladed jig, and I just kept saying out loud, "Come on, Lake Fork, I know you can give me one more," by this time my fish finder's dead, and I have no idea what depth of water I am in. All I know is there's a bunch of standing timber, and I'm running this bladed jig, and I get bit with about 15 minutes to go. And I think to myself, even if it's a 17 and a quarter, every bit will help to keep me in the top 10, because I had seen guys, when I went up to upload, there was a guy who had 90, Jeremy Brandis from Iowa, had 90 inches. And I knew that some of the other folks probably hadn't even submitted their fish yet, and I get that fish in, and it's a 16.75. And so, that one didn't help, as I already had one that size. And, I had ran into Guillermo right before that, and he comes up behind me, and I turn around and I said, "Hey, Guillermo, how you doing, man?" And he says, "Well, are you sacking them up?" And I said, I've got 5 good ones. I said, "But I don't think it's enough." I said, "I've got 98 inches." And I said, "How are you doing?" And he goes, "I've got 5 good ones as well." And he goes, "But you're right, it's not enough." He said, "But he goes, I think it's." He goes, "But no, he was right though. We both thought it was gonna." He said, "I think it's gonna take over 100 to win it, and it could get done in Little Caney." And I very much agree with him on that. Anybody could have. It was a difference of 1 bite for so many guys. To crack the 100-inch mark, and to be able to hold on like that was truly something. I have no words for it. It was totally unexpected.
That's no lie, man. The entire top 10 I mean, 8, 9, and 10, they would have had to catch a really big one, but from 6 on up, anybody breaks 20 inches and they win by a couple inches. I mean, you beat the top 3 guys by. I mean, Guillermo had 90.
Inch,
yeah, you beat Guillermo by 1.25 inches. He was in 4th.
Yeah.
You know, so he's right. One big bite.
Yeah, that was the difference.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
unbelievable.
Awesome,
unbelievable. What was Big Bass the tournament?
You keep saying bladed jig. I've got to know, what bladed jig are you throwing? That's a pro answer. The old mystery bladed jig.
Yeah, he didn't say jackhammer. He just said bladed jig.
Bladed jig. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a bladed jig by Mr. B Lure Company. Huge thanks to him, man. I reached out to him about a week prior to the tournament when I found out I was going, and I was like, dude, could you please make me just a batch of anything that you can and send it my way. And so I picked up 3 of those bladed jigs that he's got. It mimics a lot like a chatterbait, but it's just got a different vibration to it. And that may have played a factor. That fish may have seen another jackhammer come rolling by, and everybody was throwing a jackhammer or chatterbait or some type of bladed jig. And who knows? Maybe that vibration was the difference, or maybe that fish had just pulled up. You just don't know. And I'm fortunate that those fish did pull up, because I don't think that they were all there the day before. I think it was just a timing thing.
It worked out.
I asked Dwayne, or I asked what the big bass was, and Dwayne threw it in the comments. It was 23.25. So I scrolled over here on Tourney X. I'll throw it up on the screen for you guys.
Absolute monster.
Gage caught 2 fish, a 13-incher and this one.
Wow.
So
that's what you come to Lake Fork for, right there.
Man.
That's it. That's the way to do it. If you're going to catch, 2, that's the one. So good job, Gage. Let's see. We got some questions coming in the crowd here. Stephen Bell said he had to get to the ramp early. He headed out at 4, and there were still 8 guys sitting on his water when he got there. That's how it is at Lake Fork. It's a big lake, but it can fish small. Wouldn't you agree, Nate?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this time of year made it fish so small. I mean, you look at the guide reports that were out, all week and the week prior to, talking about this weekend, about how the bass were going to pull up in the shallows. This was your chance to catch your personal best. So you had our tournament with such a huge turnout of anglers, 196 guys. You had a bass boat tournament going on, one of them that I know of. There might have been more. And then you've got the recreational fishermen who, all want to travel to Lake Fork at that time of year to get on, what could be their biggest bass of their life. And so that shrunk the lake big time, because nobody was fishing the deep water points. Nobody was fishing deep timber. And if you were, that could have been the ticket too, because nobody else was doing that. And I think doing something just a little bit different than most folks, paid some dividends for some folks.
Yeah, good stuff. Anybody out there with more questions, shoot them to Nate while we have them. Like I said, I know you got another podcast coming up, so we're not going to take you too long. When we're done here, I know the paddle and fid guys are going to have Nate, and I think the whole top 3 on there. So jump over there and check that out too. I said, we were talking before we came on live. I'm sure Ryan's never heard of this lake, or at least never been there. Lake Wanahoo over in Nebraska. I went up there fishing the Midwest Series a couple of years ago, and the lake was shockingly impressive. For I didn't know what to expect in Omaha, Nebraska, or just outside Omaha, but very cool lake. But it reminded me of Fork. So I asked Nate before he came on, did that kind of help you be successful down there? And why don't you talk about that for a minute, Nate?
Yeah, Lake Fork is a flooded timber fishery, and our Lake Wanahoo here, it sets up a lot like that, and it's got some great vegetation. Now the lake's on the downfall right now, Jeff. It's been a tough couple of years. The far north end is really silted in on us, but it's got timber like you couldn't believe, and so fishing that lake, that's the lake that I kind of really started out kayak fishing, and where I actually met Marty Hughes, who actually told me about tournaments for kayaks. And so that lake, I've spent a lot of time on it. So when it comes to fishing wood and figuring out where those fish pull off to when they don't want to be on it, and how they relate to the creek channel, and the vegetation and things like that with dirty water. I mean, I'm sure it played some, it's where I practice, and so, it's, Little Caney is a lot like it, just kind of shrunk the big old Lake Fork down for me to resemble a lot like Lake Fort or Lake Wanahoo.
Yeah, definitely made you comfortable there.
Yeah.
I think I missed a question. Let's see. Let me go back here. First, I'm going to throw a comment up. Patrick Malone said they ran into I always mispronounce his name, at dinner. Said he planned on fishing Fork, but he went over to Tawakoni to leave you guys alone, which was pretty cool of a pro to do.
I'm sure we would have loved to see him out there, though. I mean,
Yeah.
that would have been cool to fish alongside him.
And then Clifton Allen, or Cliff Allen, I think this is one of his aliases on Facebook.
This is the new Clifton, Cliff.
Oh, all right. He said, would you break someone off a piece of the pie if they were the reason you got a check?
Absolutely.
There you go. Absolutely. Got to share the love.
All right, then.
I thought he was talking about the pie at Tiffany's. I didn't know what he was talking about when I first saw that.
Steve Fields wants to know, do you miss the brim in Australia?
Yeah, actually, I was talking with my lady, and we've been together for a long time, and we've never taken a vacation, and so I said pick a spot on the map, and I hope that she chooses to go to Australia, because I'd love to go there in June or July and get after those bream, because those are a lot of fun. If you guys ever get a chance to go over there and fish for those yellowfin bream, it's an absolute blast when they come into the brackish waters there and do their thing.
Ryan, there's three things Nate said that let you know he's from the Midwest: Shields, walleye, and bream. He just said bream.
You got me on that one for sure.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm a Midwest guy, Nate. You know that.
I know you are.
Yeah.
Clayton Schilling wants to know, were your electronics a factor at all?
No, not at all. Except for early in the morning, let me know that the fish were not there and they did not want my lure on that point. So after that, my Panoptics and everything like that was pretty much off. I didn't use it much. I used my fish finder just to kind of let me know what depth I might be sitting in, as I was sitting there in the weeds. And but I was in 1 to 3 foot of water for all the fish that were caught. So.
I like
Very
it.
cool.
I mean, you hear a lot of hype about the Panoptics and how it's going to change the game and how it's not fair and all this other stuff. But for the most part, I mean, if you look at, especially in the southern lakes, especially where, there's shallow fish pretty much
All
I'd
year.
say 8 or 9 months out of the year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Summertime, they'll be out on the ledges. You can still find some shallow, but predominantly people are fishing offshore stuff. And then wintertime, you're looking for deeper fish as well. But for the most part, I mean, I think instinctive fishing, and that's what I like to do myself. I don't like relying on electronics. Like I fish these wintertime tournaments, and I'll go out and I'll find a brush pile and I'll see fish sitting on it, and I will watch them for hours not eat my bait. Like it's so frustrating. That's not how you catch fish. Like that is not. Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's not something that may revolutionize some guys that fish offshore humps and stuff. Like these guys that will find a hump 300 yards offshore, they can sit out there and watch them on a jerkbait. I'm not saying it's not effective, but I'm saying it's not necessary. That those guys may not be the ones that are going to clean house in these tournaments. Yeah. Look at John Cox, for instance. He's well known for probably one of the best shallow water fishermen that exist in the game right now. He could care less about electronics because he's catching his fish in 2 feet of water. Like he looks for that everywhere he goes.
Yeah, Marty Hughes, he and I were just talking about it because this discussion, I guess, came up on the local Nebraska club page, and he had said something that kind of just stuck with me when I think and talk about Panoptics. He says, the really good thing about Panoptics is you can see the fish, and the really bad thing about Panoptics is you can see the fish. And you can get hung up on it for some time, and you nail it too, Ryan. I mean, you say a lot of the right things. I mean, some guys that'll take their game to the next level, but it can really take away a lot of time from focusing on where the fish actually are, and relying on your instincts to find.
I hope it
fish.
keeps guys offshore. I hope there's freaking 500 boats sitting on those humps and stuff out there. It takes some pressure off these nice little shallow water fish that are trying to eat.
Yep.
Yeah. So Nate, you said you hadn't had it very long, the live scope?
Yeah. This was my first time.
Do you see how it could be addicting for some people?
Oh yeah, man. Catching, pre-fishing, catching the fish on the point on a jerkbait was a blast. I mean, I had caught the 21 in that cut, and I didn't even choose to go there first. I wanted to catch them on Panoptics. That was fun. Yeah, it's addicting, man. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean, I went on a little tirade after Broken Bow, seeing a bunch of bass boats out there weaving around the lake, not catching anything, just chasing them with live scope. And I thought, my God, this is like some sort of cell phone addiction.
Well, people like, Nebraska for some reason has kind of been on fire a little bit lately. Milliken putting up, one of the greatest YouTube shows, for an outing of fishing ever. And Panoptics was the ticket for him to make that happen. And, there's going to be some tournaments for us kayak guys where, some of the guys that have got that and have the experience, truly to fish offshore like that, it's going to elevate their game a little bit, not by much, but it will. But then there's going to be times where it fails them, and for the first 30 minutes of this tournament, it failed me.
Yeah. Well, props to you for making the adjustment and turning it off. A lot of guys wouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
I love turning my fish finder off. That's when I feel like I actually know what I'm doing. When I can reach up and turn that thing off and I'm like, you know what, this is not going to be a factor for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, then I go fish it. Then it's like, okay, let's look at the bank and see, find a current break, find an eddy, find a grass line, find something that's actually going to, hold these fish all the time. That's my favorite way to fish, not because of a little TV screen in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely.
James just kind of echoed your statement, Ryan. Said bank fishing will be the new offshore. Wish everybody had live scope.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy. So when I first started bass fishing 5 or 6 years ago, there's a local guy that fishes the Chattanooga Bass Association tournaments, and he took me out on his bass boat, and he taught me a lot. Like, he taught me how to adjust, how to look for different things at different times of the year, and great mentor in the sport. Well, I talked to him yesterday afternoon, and we were talking about live scope and 360 whatnot. To my surprise, he's already went out and put a 360 on his boat. And this guy's like old school. Like, he, has custom spin baits made with a certain color skirt on them because that's the only one that works to catch them off docks. Like, he has all these nuances that I would never even think of. But he's like, I'll tell you, son. He's like, I want to put my power poles down in between these docks. And he's like, I had that 360 on. He said, I could tell which dock post each fish was positioned on.
Yeah.
He's like, I just skipped that jig to the dock post and was plunking them right off. And I'm like, that's when somebody like that, number one, he knew what he was doing on the lake before.
Yeah.
But when you give him a tool like that to literally be able to snipe those fish off those dock posts, that's going to be trouble. For sure.
It's pretty crazy, man. Like I said, that Broken Bow tournament, third place finisher there, Luke was catching them in 60 feet of water using live scope under the bait balls. So if you can use it, it's a weapon. It is
absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, Nate, what's next for you, man? I mean, are you going to travel a little more? Are you going to stay regional, local? What's going on for you?
I mean, as you know, Jeff, I wasn't able to fish the Midwest Kayak Fishing Series as I directed that. And the Midwest, man, if you look at that Tourney X leaderboard, it showcases that we have got some absolute hammers in the Midwest. And so Joshua Booth putting together that All-American Series, that's one that I'm really excited to fish because it hits all the stops in the Midwest. There's going to be lots of anglers here that are going to be competing in that. So it's going to be a great season to fish that tournament circuit there. I want to fish a BASS event up there on La Crosse, as well as the Hobie event up there. That's a river system. Ryan, I know you're a river system guy, so if you've got any tips, shoot them to my inbox because I'll take every one of them I can get. I've always, for some reason, I just want to win up there on La Crosse. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. If you guys get a chance to go up there, it's a backwater fisherman's dream. It's a deep water fisherman's dream out there in the current. Great smallmouth, great largemouth, and you can have a blast fighting off the northern pike. So I'll fish those two events there, and then our Nebraska clubs, they've both got some awesome schedules as well. So it's going to be a busy season. But just looking forward to kind of spot there's a tournament here, tournament there that I can hit and works with my schedule.
Good stuff. We'll be glad to see it. Lacrosse is one of my favorite places. I've never done really well there, but I love going up there.
Yeah.
So I'm going back.
I've been there last year. I went there a total of 6 times, and 4 of those were just a fun fish, and just try to work and figure that place out. It's only a 6-hour drive for me, and I've got family up there that I can stay with, so it makes sense for me to go up that direction. So I'm hopeful that this will be the year, but I'll keep trying until I get it done.
I've heard it's a pretty level playing field too. Like as far as the size of fish goes, like you see a lot of 16 to 18-inch fish. You don't really hear of these like monster bags being thrown up at Lacrosse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but somebody always finds that 19, 20-inch bass that elevates them to the top. And you can get on an awesome swim jig bite there. You can get on some top water. Whether that's a topwater popper out there in the current, or that's a frog in the backwaters. So that tournament can be won anywhere. So you're right. It's a pretty level playing field.
The leaderboards always remind me of kind of this fork leaderboard, not with the size, but with how close first to 30th is stacked up. In the lengths. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Jeff, will you throw up Billy Bowden's question that he posted? About the live scope transducer. I don't know, Nate, if you know the answer to this question or if anybody else watching does, but does the live scope transducer click at a different frequency to say a 2D sonar? Like what's the difference as far as sound wise on the live scope?
I don't quite know the direct answer to that, but I do know that there's like 3 different beams that are shot out at the same time to feed you back that live image. Or at least like that's what I can almost even see on my screen sometimes until I really fine tune it and dial it in. But I don't know the direct answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much looks like an ultrasound shoot straight out in front of your boat.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, that's what the picture looks like is an ultrasound.
Yeah. Here's an interesting question. What's on your jacket, Nate? From James Leggett.
Yeah, James Leggett makes these. This is my jacket here.
That was a setup.
Yeah, it's some good material. I appreciate it. I like this thing here. So thanks, James. Appreciate that.
Imperial Stone. We'll send you the bill for that plug, James.
But really though, to give a shout out also to my work, they're very, very, very supportive of my kayak fishing, and really thankful for my job and them supporting me and chasing some tournaments.
What do you do in real life, Nate? Just for those who don't know.
Yeah, I do sales and project manage my own projects for Centurion Stone. So masonry, that's brick, block, EFA, stone, and stucco. Even while I've got you on here, Roger College this weekend he put up 102.75 inches the day before the event pre-fishing, that's and that right there tells you that lake is on fire, and anybody could have an amazing day there on any given moment. But he actually gave me some wonderful tips as far as my work goes. We had a great conversation down there at Fork. So that's what's also neat about getting to these events is you get to network with so many different types of people, and not only are you talking about fishing, but you're talking about work as well. And he does an incredible job with his masonry as well. So you guys, if you guys ever need anything done, check out Roger College. He's top notch, professional.
These dudes are getting technical in the comments. 2D is
I just want him to answer the damn question. I don't know.
What's how many megahertz?
Of the cone, James. I want to know the frequency of the signal.
We want to know the kilohertz and the gigawatts. That's what we want to know.
Tell me the frequency now.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Somebody call an OBGYN. They probably know.
Yes. See, in real life, Nate, Ryan and I are both background of X-ray people. So
we're both radiology guys. Like that's why I want to know the frequency. I want to understand what I'm talking about here, not the cone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're not just talking heads on Facebook. We actually have real jobs out there. I wanted to ask you about somebody else from Nebraska, if you want to comment on him. And Jackson Orr gets a lot of the headlines as one of the young hammers in the country, rightly so, because he is. There's a few other folks out there, but somebody from Nebraska that is always on the leaderboards, and I've always been impressed by, is Brady Stores. And he came in 16th in this event, had 90 inches himself. Talk a little bit about Brady and what kind of angler that kid is. I don't even know if he's a kid anymore. How old is he?
Yeah, he's not a kid anymore. When he first started with us, he was whooping our tails as a kid.
Yeah.
I can remember far back to like 2016 KBF trail event at Lake Wanahoo. Brady took the dub there and really put his name out there to us guys in Nebraska, that he's an angler to reckon with. And then, the MKFS happened, and Brady was a stick in that as well. Paid out lots of cash to Brady. And then you've seen him down at Mississippi River. That guy has gotten third place up there. So I might need to ask Brady for a few tips too. He's probably got some answers for me.
How old is Brady?
Brady's probably 19, 20 now.
Okay.
So real young kid, but like you said, Jeff, growing up very fast and, gaining a ton of knowledge as far as fishing goes. And, as the years come, he's going to continue to be a threat to every one of us in the kayak game.
Yeah. I met him at the Midwest Series, when I traveled up to fish with you guys some, and was impressed by the kid then. I still call him a kid now. 1920 is a kid to me.
Yeah. He's a stick.
Yeah, for sure. So shout out to Brady.
Shout out to Brady and Christine from Nebraska got 22nd. Workman got 43rd from Nebraska. James Francis got 45th from Nebraska. So, Nebraska was fighting in there. And, like I said, Iowa was in there. Kansas was in there. I mean, the Midwest has got some really tough sticks. And I think every one of us, in the Midwest work really hard to keep up with some of the guys like, Russ Snyder's and Cody Milton and Hugh Lambert and, all those folks who get to, really hammer down on us sometimes.
You don't have to work too hard to keep up with me, buddy. Just stay awake.
Yeah, good comments coming in about Brady for sure. Super impressed with that kid and the Midwest Anglers. There was 3 in the top 10 from Missouri. Missouri showed out in this tournament, so good for them.
I see Big Stick Howell in the comments. Congrats, Big Stick, on getting that money back in your pocket. I know there was a little bit of controversy. Yeah, we skipped right over that, Jeff. A little bit of controversy over I don't know if it was rules interpretation or what you would call it. I think, kind of the written rules read one way and then the captain's meeting sounded a different way or something. Overall, the main point of all this, people are going to make mistakes, whether you're a tournament director or an angler, no matter what. Just, you just make it right. So for the tournament directors, don't beat yourselves up, but it's a learning experience. Address it up front next time and make sure it's clear for both parties. But hats off to you guys for doing the right thing. I don't think, no matter how big the entity gets or your trail gets, that part will remain the same. Communicate clearly with the anglers and then do the right thing at the end of the day. That's all you can ask for.
Absolutely.
That felt like that happened 2 weeks ago for some reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because Fork seemed like a really long tournament because you had all these big pre-fishing picks and everybody going live and all this stuff, and Matt Scott's cooking 1,000 crappie a day, and then the tournament actually happened, and here we are 2 days later.
Yeah. Well, that was an entertaining thread. I can't believe I forgot to cover that at the beginning, but it was cool. The KBN public court ruled again, and it all worked itself out. And props to the TDs for getting in there and commenting and mixing it up. They didn't just, go on the band hammer.
I think that's part. Like you can't just ignore stuff. Like you can't. I don't ever want that to be the case in any of this stuff. Like if an issue comes up, address it. As the guys running these tournaments, just step up, and if you want to speak your piece, if you feel like you're right, that's cool. That's fine. Like let's hear it. Like I just don't want stuff to get brushed under the rug and kind of ignored. I don't think that's good for anybody.
I like that Taylor House slid in the comments too on that thread. Let her know. Let her feelings be known. Digging that.
I have to meet Taylor when I'm in Texas. I have to. She had a lot of participation after the Seminole event. Hilarious. So that's on my bucket list. Brian, no offense, but I want to buy your wife a drink.
Yeah, that's awesome. Funny stuff. Anything else from anybody before we let Nate out of here? I know he's got another deal coming up in a few minutes, so I want to give you a chance to go use the bathroom or get a drink or whatever you need to do before you jump over there.
I still need some sleep. I went right back to work
take
today.
A quick nap then. You got 10 minutes.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, man. We definitely appreciate you taking the time to come over here because I know you're beat. Any of these tournaments, whether they're 1 day or 2 day and they're out of town like that, they just wear you out. So
Yeah, and
sure.
I feel for some of the guys who pre-fished all week. I mean, they had some strong winds to battle. So, not being there so early might have helped me out, just kind of keep my legs fresh and mind fresh as well. Because the weather conditions can really take a toll on an angler. So, again, just hats off to everybody who fished that tournament. It was an absolute shootout until the very end, and everybody fished with wonderful skill and. Just fortunate.
You may be the king of Lake Fork, Nate. You may be.
That's right. I got to throw this in there real quick, Ryan.
He said 530.
I know. Thank you, James. I applaud you. You're a master Googler.
Yeah.
What did y'all got coming out your way, Jeff? You got anything big on the radar this weekend?
No, man. We got local events kicked off around here. We had one Saturday. That's why I didn't really follow the leaderboard all day until the end. And in true rookie fashion, I wrote down the wrong ID and got all my fish DQ'd anyway.
You did not do that.
I did that. But it wouldn't have mattered anyway. I finished in the middle pack, but it was pretty funny that I did that.
I love it.
Yeah, awesome stuff. But yeah, nothing big coming up. I'm just looking forward to Dardanelle and then the All-American Series. I guess that's in 3 weeks on Ouachita. That's coming up. I think I might hit that. I'm on the fence about going down there. If I can slide out a day early from work to get down there, I don't know. But that's two things I'm looking forward to.
Largemouth bite's probably still in the same place.
Yeah.
If you want those, I don't know.
I'll just go back to old community holes I know about because I probably won't get to pre-fish if I go. So good stuff. Oh yeah, Katie Backa, she threw a link up there. Katie, thank you. In Arkansas, the Ben Spangler Memorial. Everyone's familiar with Ben that tragically passed away back in the fall. The NSK Central Group, their second tournament of the year, they're going to name it after him every year on Lake Conway, his favorite lake. So his memorial tournament is March, I think it's March 27th, last week of March. So anyone in the area wants to come fish that. Conway's a cool lake.
Is Conway the place that had like the community hole, like the tree or whatever out there? Was that what that was?
Where they put the plaque on the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It. Yeah, that's cool. So the Ben Spangler Memorial. Can't forget about that one. So
we've got the Tennessee Bass Nation. Steve-O's running a tournament on Pickwick Saturday. If anybody wants to come out and fish that. I am going to skip that and drive down to Milledgeville, Georgia to fish with my buddy Little Deal. We're going to fish a bass boat tournament this weekend and see if the Kite boys can cut a check on the bass boat side. So cross your fingers for that one.
Yeah, that'd be epic.
I don't know who's driving the boat, but we're going to give it a shot anyway.
All right.
I'm going to keep PFD on the entire time.
Nice. All right. Nate, you got anything else before we go, man? I'm going to let you get out of here.
No, thanks for having me, guys. Certainly appreciate it and look forward to seeing you guys on the water and competing against you guys. And, thanks for having me, guys. Certainly appreciate it.
You bet, man. You bet. Well, Ryan, good luck on the bass boat, dude. Hammer down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good luck.
Hammer down. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good times. Facebook, YouTube. Appreciate y'all. We're out of here.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.